Yup, we are dealing with oysters. Oysters are great. We're gonna see how to serve them raw, cooked, and accompanying condiments. Depending on where you get your oysters, it should be clean, free from any debris around the opening, and it should be closed. Close tight, never open. If you have an open oyster and you tap the shell and it doesn't close, that means your oyster is dead. Discard it. And if you don't want to be dealing with all those cleaning issues, I'm sure your local fishmonger can help with that. Ensure you have good oysters that are clean and ready to be served. Don't be afraid to ask. For this job, you need the right tools. An oyster opening knife. You are not allowed to use a knife, a fork, a spoon, only an oyster opening knife. If you don't have the right tools, don't attempt to open the oysters. You will also need, for serving, some ice. It can be crushed or cube, whatever is available to you. To open an oyster, you need to start from the back, from where the hinge is. Using a kitchen towel to hold down the oyster and to protect your hands. You come in with the oyster opening knife at a 45-degree angle, wiggle your way through until the oyster is open. You might be tempted to hold the oysters on the flat surface down, like this. Remember, this is wrong. The reason is, when you come to open the oyster on the flat surface, most of the juices will fall down. You want to be holding your oyster cup size down to keep all the oyster juice inside the oyster. Try not to spill the oyster juice when you come to open an oyster. It might be hard to open the oyster from the back hinge, and you might be tempted to open it from somewhere else, like from the front or the side. You can open it from other positions than the back hinge, but what tends to happen if you do this is you might end up with a lot of stones in the oyster. Those areas are full of debris where the oyster is opening and closing, that it's very easily to scratch and end up with lots of stony bits in your oyster. So if you attempt to open from another position, make sure that your knife is clean and there's not much stone in the oyster. That's the best advice I can give you on how not to end up with lots of stones in your oyster. Make sure that your oyster meat is not attached to the shell. You don't want to be serving just oyster juice without the meat. Make sure that the oyster is detached and free to move. This is the final result. Your oysters are ready to be served. They can be eaten just like that, without any additions. And that's how I prefer to eat them. You might like to add some condiment, and these are your options. The classic Tabasco sauce, and its other flavors. Lemon, you can cut them into wedges and serve them up with the oysters. My favorite addition to oysters is this mignonette sauce, which is just finely chopped shallots and some red wine vinegar. As for the quantity, I like to do equal parts. If you're going with a third of a cup of shallot, you do a third of a cup of red wine vinegar. Some of us don't like to eat raw oysters and preferred the cooked version. I sometimes like to eat them cooked, and this is my favorite version. What you need to do is melt some butter. Here I have 1 stick of butter. You can melt the butter in the microwave. To that, we're gonna add some breadcrumbs. I made a great video about how to make a homemade breadcrumbs. I will leave that down in the description. Add the breadcrumbs until most of the butter is absorbed. Then you add a pinch of parsley, mix all that in, and that's it. Your breadcrumbs can now go on top of your oysters. What you need to do is cover the oyster completely without compacting the breadcrumbs. Just simply cover the oyster meat. Then put them on an oven tray or your grill tray and grill the top. The grilling should not take that long. You should take about 5 to 10 minutes, depending on how high your heat is. If you don't have a grill, you can definitely use the oven. Just set them on the top shelf and keep an eye on them. A good indication that they're done when you have this golden brown breadcrumbs. Whether you serve your oysters raw or cooked, I hope you find this video helpful and encouraging for you to try oysters and not be afraid of them. Thank you for watching till the end. If you have any questions or comment, please feel free to leave them below. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving us a thumbs up and subscribing to the channel and sharing the videos with your friends who like seafood.